Scammers allegedly using artificial intelligence as a virtual disguise, mimicking Brianna's voice to try to extract money out of her panicked family.
How this AI kidnapping scam tricked a mother in seconds. She heard her daughter's voice, sobbing, begging for help. Within 15 seconds, she transferred $50,000, and her daughter hadn't even called. Today, in this video, we'll break down 3 real stories about how voice cloning technology has become the perfect weapon for scammers. These algorithms are so advanced that mothers can't tell the fake from the real thing. It only takes 3 seconds of recording to create a clone. And if you think this won't affect you, you're wrong. Picture an ordinary Friday evening. Jennifer DeStefano is sitting at her younger daughter Aubrey's dance rehearsal. Children's laughter, music, a festival atmosphere, and suddenly a phone call. Unknown number, but something makes her answer. And then the nightmare begins. The voice of her 15-year-old daughter Brianna, between sobs, says, "Mom, I messed up." Jennifer knows this voice better than her own. It's definitely Brianna. But what happened? The girl should be at a ski resort with friends. But before the mother can ask anything, a rough male voice barks, "Lie down and put your head back."
And she said, "Mom, I messed up," crying and sobbing as I'm walking towards the dance studio in the parking lot. All of a sudden I heard a man's voice say, "Put your head back, lie down."
Panic, horror, adrenaline pounds at her temples. "Listen, I have your daughter," says the man in a cold, calculating voice. "Tell anyone? Call the police. I'll dump her stomach right now, shoot her up with drugs and dump her in Mexico. You'll never see her again." And in the background, Brianna's voice continues, "Help me, Mom, please, help me." Jennifer would later say, "I didn't doubt for a second that it was her. It was completely her voice, her intonation, her way of crying. That's what's most terrifying. It touched me to my core." The demands start at $1 million. When Jennifer says she doesn't have that kind of money, the amount drops to 50 grand. The man explains the scheme. White van, bag over her head, so she doesn't know where she's going. Cash, no bank transfers. They can be traced. Fortunately, other parents at the rehearsal realize something terrible is happening and call the police. When officers arrive, they explain, this is a new type of fraud using artificial intelligence. Brianna's voice had been cloned. The girl was peacefully skiing at the time and had no idea about the nightmare unfolding. But you know what's most chilling? When Jennifer tried to file a police report, she was told it was just a prank. A prank. As if technology capable of destroying lives is something funny. Write in the comments, have you encountered similar calls? Because what happened next is even scarier. July 9th of this year, Sharon Brightwell, a Florida resident, receives a call. A number similar to her daughter's appears on the screen. The mother answers without hesitation and hears crying, familiar, dear crying of her daughter. "Mom," sobs the voice, "I was in a car accident. I hit a pregnant woman. Mom, help me." Sharon would later say, "No one can convince me that wasn't her. I know how my daughter cries." Imagine this moment. Your child calls you, sobbing, and says they've been in an accident. What do you feel? Fear? Panic? The desire to help immediately at any cost? These are exactly the emotions scammers count on. A man comes to the phone, introduces himself as a lawyer, explains the situation in a calm, professional tone. Sharon's daughter hit a pregnant woman while texting and driving. She's now under arrest. Bail is needed, $15,000, immediately. Sharon doesn't hesitate. She goes to the bank, withdraws the money, and follows delivery instructions. $15,000, vanished. But the scammers don't stop there. An hour later, another call. The same lawyer, the same professional tone. But now the news is even worse. The pregnant woman lost her baby. The family is ready to sue. The only way to avoid prison for her daughter is to pay the family compensation. Another 30 grand. Here, Sharon's grandson enters the scene. Something about this story seems strange to him. Together with a family friend, they insist on contacting the real daughter. And then comes the moment of truth. When I heard her real voice, Sharon recounts, I lost my composure. She was fine. She was still at work, didn't even know what I was talking about. $15,000 disappeared forever. This is money the family had saved for years. Money that was supposed to go toward treating Sharon's father, who suffers from dementia after a failed surgery. If you have the opportunity, support such people. Write about it in the comments. Tell your loved ones, because the next story shows that scammers are becoming even more inventive. Canada. An elderly couple receives a call from someone claiming to be their son Benjamin Perkins' lawyer.
to the night my parents got scammed for $21,000, and here's how.
The voice is serious, professional. He explains the situation. Their son is in jail for killing a diplomat in a car accident. Killing a diplomat. Think about those words. This isn't just an accident, it's an international incident. This is life imprisonment. The parents are in shock, but the lawyer says there's a way to help. They need to post bail, $21,000 for court costs before the case goes to trial. And then Benjamin comes to the phone. His voice, his intonations, his way of speaking. He asks his parents to help him, explains that this is the only chance to avoid prison. The voice was close enough that my parents really believed they were talking to me, the real Benjamin would later say. The parents don't hesitate. They withdraw money from the bank and transfer it to the scammers through Bitcoin. 21 grand disappears into the digital void forever. They only realize they've been deceived when Benjamin calls them in the evening to check how they're doing. Alive, healthy, free Benjamin, who has no idea about any arrest. Where did the scammers get Benjamin's voice? He had posted a few videos about snowmobiling on YouTube, just a few minutes of recording, and that was enough to create a convincing copy of his voice. The family filed a report with Canadian police. The response was simple and harsh. The money is gone. There's no insurance. It's impossible to get it back. And now the most frightening part, how this actually works. A McAfee company study showed shocking statistics. 70% of people cannot distinguish a cloned voice from a real one. 70%. This means that out of 10 of your acquaintances, 7 won't be able to tell they're talking to a machine. But even worse is that creating a clone requires only 3 seconds of recording. 3 seconds. That's less time than it takes to say, "Hello, how are you?" Where do scammers get these recordings? Everywhere. Social media, YouTube, TikTok, voice messages in messengers. Every time you record Instagram stories or send a voice message on WhatsApp, you potentially provide material for cloning. The technology is developing at a frightening pace. A year ago, quality cloning required hours of recording. Today, seconds. And tomorrow? Tomorrow might require just one photo to not only clone a voice but create a video. But the most chilling part is the psychological impact. When you hear the voice of a loved one asking for help, your brain literally shuts down. Evolution hasn't prepared us for voices that can lie. Millions of years of evolution tell us, if it sounds like your child, it is your child. Scammers understand this perfectly. They create situations of maximum stress. Kidnapping, accident, arrest. In such situations, people don't think logically. They act instinctively, protecting loved ones at any cost. But it's not all hopeless. There are ways to protect yourself and your loved ones from this digital nightmare. First and most important, family code words. Come up with a secret word or phrase with your loved ones that only you know. If someone from the family asks for money or help, ask them to say the code word. Scammers don't know it. Second rule, the golden 10-minute rule. If someone calls asking for urgent help, say, "I'll call back in 10 minutes. A real loved one will understand. A scammer will pressure, convince you there's no time. Don't give in. Third, never transfer money immediately. Never. Even if it seems like delay could cost a life. Find a way to contact the person through other relatives, friends, colleagues. Fourth, ask questions that only your loved one can answer. A pet's nickname that only you two know. The location of your first date. What you had for breakfast last Sunday. Scammers can clone voices, but they can't clone memories. Fifth, pay attention to details. Call quality, background noise, pauses in conversation. Cloned voices aren't perfect yet. If something seems strange, trust your intuition. And most importantly, spread the information. Tell parents, grandparents about this threat. Elderly people most often become victims because they know less about modern technology. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new exposés. Like if the material was useful, and definitely share this video with loved ones. Their safety might depend on this information. And remember, in the digital world, even voices can no longer be trusted. Be careful.